this story, it's quite remarkable. Somebody decided to put on a diversity and inclusion film festival at Port Adelaide, except it was very, very hard for somebody in a wheelchair to take part. And to explain what went on, we're joined by Shane Hryhorec, disability advocate, has appeared on the afternoons program with Sonia and in Drive with Jules. He joins us now. Good morning, Shane.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on your show.
What happened? Well, you better tell us. What was the film festival you wanted to go? It seemed like a really good idea at the time. And then what happened?
Yeah, look, I'm a person with disability. I'm a wheelchair user, and I live and work in Port Adelaide. And I bought a ticket to the Port Adelaide Diversity and Inclusion Film Festival, which was shot at the Odeon Cinema at Semaphore. And I bought a ticket online, and I rocked up there on Friday, and this big red carpet rolled out, and then I got to the front door, and there was a sign saying wheelchair entry around the side. So then I went around the corner where they've got gates, and went through the gates to a dark alleyway with rubbish bins, and wheeled up the ramp. And then I got up the ramp to the double doors that are the side entrance, and they're locked. And meanwhile, people are all entering and going into the cinema, and here I am stuck outside. So I waited a while thinking someone will open the door eventually. No one did. So I called up the cinema, and after waiting on hold for a while to get patched through to someone, they answered and opened it up and let me in. And then when I got inside the cinema, I was restricted to only the ticket booth area and the main foyer landing where everyone was congregating, and then they had a media wall with photography and entertainment. It was completely out of bounds for me. So, yeah.
Well, at this point, did you think, you know what, I could really do with a twin shock?
Well, actually, I did. When I go to the cinema, I always want popcorn. So I spotted someone I knew, and I asked him. I gave him my credit card and said, "Look, can you do me a favour and just go get me some popcorn?" So I enjoyed the popcorn, and then that's when I found out there's also a DJ that's playing upstairs. So there's entertainment being put on, and there's no way to get upstairs to see that entertainment. So you can imagine how not included I felt and disappointed.
Could you even get to the candy bar?
No, I couldn't get to the candy bar, so I gave my card to someone, and so it was a little bit disappointing. And yeah.
Oh, Shane, I mean, I'm laughing. It's not funny, but it's so dark. You couldn't write this script, could you, about somebody who's been invited to, and let's remind ourselves what this is called. It's a Port Adelaide Diversity and Inclusion Film Festival, and you rock up and you can't even buy something to eat. Okay.
It didn't stop there as well. And then I bought a ticket, and then I went and had a look at the cinema that you had access to, and there was a tiny little booth at the very back of the cinema with a high barrier, and it was segregated from the rest of the audience. So after that, I just abandoned my ticket and left and went home.
Oh, so you didn't even see a movie?
No, after that, I didn't want to stick around, so I just got in my car and left. So
could they have made it less inclusive?
Yeah, look, I work in disability, and I work in the inclusive space, and I know when it's been missed the mark, and at this event it has completely missed the mark as far as inclusivity.
So I was going to ask you, were the movies any good? But you didn't get. You don't know.
Yeah, I didn't stick around that long.
Okay. Does this ring any bells with you? Is this your experience? Give us a call. 1300 222 891. Yogi Devgan is the creative director of the Port Adelaide Diversity and Inclusion Film Festival. Joins us now. Good morning, Yogi Devgan.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. And thank you, Sean, bringing up this issue as well. And my sincerely apologies on this. So going back to how this festival was created to give a platform to showcase films with a diverse background, filmmakers as well as actors, as well as people who are living with a disability, making films and showcasing those films. And we created this one in Port Adelaide last year. And we were on. I was on the show on ABC as well. We discussed about the historical side of the building, which obviously it has got limitations, which is beyond our control, basically. But we tried to do everything which we could to putting on everywhere on our website as well, which cinema had the access with the wheelchairs and on the ticket systems as well. But unfortunately, there was no ticket was sold which had a wheelchair access on it. And so we were like basically unaware of anything like that. But at the same time,
I'm sorry, Yogi, I don't understand that. What was the last thing you said? You weren't aware that you'd sold any tickets to people with wheelchairs? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, on the ticket system. So on the report, there were tickets showing that the wheelchair access, none of the tickets were sold.
Oh, okay. So you had two different types of tickets. One was for able-bodied
two different types. We had three types of tickets there. So one, there's a cinema upstairs which didn't have any wheelchair access.
Yeah.
And then there's Cinema 2, Cinema 3, they had two wheelchair access. So that's what cinema told us. That's why we put it on there. But none of the wheelchair access tickets were sold. And I agree with Sean as well. Like, you know, like I'm on the same way. Like I've got a son who is type 1 diabetic as well. So this whole festival is set up on compassion and love, basically, and giving this platform for everybody to basically share our films, you know, share the film with that.
When you looked at the theatre, didn't you think, this isn't going to fly?
See, we tried to find other things, but like film festival, basically, like if it needs a proper cinema.
Yeah, but the whole point of it was that it was a diversity and inclusion film festival, and
yes,
if the building by its nature exclude, I mean, if you wanted to draw attention to the plight of people who can't get into theatres, you did a great job. Yeah,
I sincerely apologize. Like it's beyond as a like we given the films to play in the theatre, and while this news has been come out, and I've been speaking to other people, and we found this another solution. If Sean wants, like we can arrange. Like I'm happy to meet Sean in person and apologize personally. And there's another theatre called Star Theatres, which they have got a ground floor as well as like on top floor where the seats are. And on the ground floor, there's accessibility, like, you know, the wheelchair accessibility for many wheelchairs. And I'm happy to organize another showcase on the 9th of September, which they have got time.
Oh, so you're going to do this again on the 9th of September?
I can do it. I can speak to Sean and discuss about it. I'm happy to do it because, like, all the films are there. So there are loads of films. A bust of films make films about disability, and they work with disabled actors and behind the cameras as well.
Do you mean put on the show just for Shane? I
can.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
Right.
You know, like it's just like as I said, like it's like I do want to like appreciate everything and work with Sean and make it happen. And we already had on the day we had online streaming going as well, and whereby we put on our website so anyone you know like would like to ask for online screening, please send us an email, and we run the show online screening at the same time too.
That's the voice of Yogi Devgan. He's creative director of the Port Adelaide Diversity and Inclusion Film Festival. The reason we're discussing this, if you've just joined us at 9:19, is that Shane Hryhorec, who is a disability advocate, he wanted to go and he couldn't get in the front door. And it's like something, I mean, we used to have these discussions 20, 30 years ago. He said, or he was directed to go to an entry around the back. It sounds like it was an alley, with a whole lot of bins. Nobody was there to let him in. Eventually, through the intercom, I don't think there was an intercom. Anyway, somebody turned up, eventually let him in. Found out he couldn't actually see the Inclusion and Diversity Film Festival in the same theatre as everybody else. He had to go to another one, and he couldn't even go to the candy bar. Claire Boan is the Mayor of the Port Adelaide Enfield Council. Good morning, Claire Boan.
Good morning. Yes, I attended this absolutely amazing event at our beautiful Odeon Cinema in Semaphore, which is 100 years old. So, of course, it isn't compliant with today's day and age, and there's lots of things that it needs to do to be able to meet that. And I'd just like to remind the audience that this cinema has gone through some really tough times over the last few years and has managed to continue operating, which we're so thankful for, and are so pleased that such a beautiful old cinema is still operating in our council area.
It's a beautiful cinema. I love going to that cinema. It's a gorgeous place.
Yeah.
Probably not the best place to hold a diversity and inclusion film festival.
Well, look, I guess the thing that we need to remember is this is a festival about the people who are acting in the movies, the people who are producing, and there's a whole lot more that involves diversity and inclusion than people within a wheelchair. And unfortunately for Shane, he had an experience he wasn't happy with, but I happened to be there on that night, and it was an extremely inclusive event in terms of the opportunities that people were able to be presented with. There were awards going to people with a disability, and if Shane had actually stayed to watch the movies, he would have seen some wonderful, wonderful outcomes.
Shane Hryhorec, is there anything you'd like to say to the Mayor?
Yeah, look, I don't know. I mean, I'm a little bit taken back by that because, you know, how can you call something inclusive if it's inclusive for some but not inclusive for all? And sitting up at the top of the ticket booth, looking down at everyone in the foyer, getting photos, chatting together and seeing them and watching them and knowing that I can't be a part of that and I have to sit up there top of the stairs and watch, I know it really makes my heart sink. It makes me feel really, really sad. And to be honest with you, I don't show my sadness very often, but, you know, and I kind of hide it. Having a person with disability often discriminated against, it's something that I try not to show. But to hear what Claire has to say really does make me very, very upset, unfortunately. But look, I just think it's, you know, disappointing that anyone, even if you do have a disability and you want to attend these things, to not be able to be included is just not great at all.
Claire Boan, you want to...
Yeah. Look, I don't think this needs to turn into a debate. Obviously, Shane and I have had different experiences with this event. There were many opportunities for Shane to be included, and in this case, he didn't feel as though he was.
That's because he couldn't go through the front door. He had to wait in an alley, and when he did get in, he couldn't go...
The event organiser actually explained this quite well, that there was an opportunity for Shane to be able to purchase a ticket online. He obviously didn't do that, although he said in his prelude in this interview that he did. He didn't do that in the way that was made possible for him to do. There was a red carpet he could have participated in, but he chose not to do that, and that's okay. However, this event was extremely amazing, and I think it's really disappointing that we take away from an event that blessed so many people and gave them opportunities. There were people with a disability who were winning awards that would have never won awards in a regular film festival.
So just to be quite clear, Claire Boan, are you saying that he could have gone through the front door?
There was a red carpet that was definitely accessible for him to be able to access, along with photographers there, yes.
So why was he directed to the alleyway?
There was a sign there, and of course with a wheelchair, to be able to get up into the cinemas, he needed to go through an alleyway, but to participate in the photography was absolutely open for him to be able to do.
So he could have gone through the red carpet and then gone down again and around into the alleyway to get in?
Yes, that's the way that the Odeon Cinema is set up, because there is no opportunity with people in a wheelchair to be able to get into the cinemas. So he could have participated in that activity in the front, which was all of the special red carpet activity, and then moved to the back to be able to see the movie,
And then moved to the back to see the...
Like to be able to go down, to be able to go through the back door, to be able to get access through the wheelchair into the back, into the cinema.
And he wouldn't have been able to see the movie in the same theatre as everybody else?
No, there were 3 cinemas which were all screening it in all the same way. So the things that the festival organiser did do were example that I did
Are you putting all the wheelchair people in one cinema? Is that what's happening?
No, it was possible. There were people with walking frames, there were people with walking sticks, there were people who were elderly, who were all able to access different cinemas, or if people wanted to go into the other one, that was also possible for them to be able to do. There was absolutely no exclusion there. But we need to remember what this is all about. This was about providing an opportunity for people to be able to showcase their amazing filmmaking skills in a festival that they wouldn't otherwise have had the opportunity to do. And I think that there's a lot of celebrating to be able to be put forward here as well.
Okay. Let's go to John from Glenelg. Hello, John. Good morning, John.
A monumental example of self-serving virtue signalling that has no competent grasp of what the event's about. Can this woman possibly explain to anybody how a person in a wheelchair can't get in the front door of the cinema in a disability film festival? For crying out loud, didn't they go and check the location? I would have. I worked in a film festival for years. You check the location. It's things like means of escape. This is for able-bodied people, let alone people in wheelchairs. I mean, how pathetic, third-rate spin doctoring. You can tell the tone of her voice. This woman's in a panic because this is going to reflect badly on her. Never mind the poor buggers that try to get in the place. Total incompetence.
John?
Complete and utter gold-plated, unalloyed incompetence.
John, thank you for your call. From Glenelg to Karolta Park. Hello, Ian.
Morning, David. I'm just a bit gobsmacked this morning in what I'm hearing. But unfortunately, people with disability do quite often deal with people with their best intentions. The reason I was calling in, David, is to actually say that people that have disability, there's a lot of talk about people that they fought disability in life, and what we're talking about is fighting for rights, just to turn up and do things. And one thing I wanted to highlight to your listeners is that quite often to book a ticket to somewhere is not straightforward. Person was talking before about going online to order tickets. There's a really big company called Ticketek who have the ticketing gig for most events in Adelaide. You can't go online and book tickets online like you would like a normal person. You've got to basically fill out an online form and they'll call you back at some point.
Oh, God.
And
okay,
I will give the Festival Centre really good credit. They still, even though they transitioned from BAS to Ticketek, there's actually a phone number that you can ring and speak to a human, which is really good. Okay. And everyone you speak to is like, how can I help? And I'm like, I need accessible tickets and I might need a companion card. But there's times when we see that, oh, yes, the ticket or the venue is wheelchair accessible. We need to know what that means because as you were teasing out this morning, is that it's different for all sorts of people.
Ian, thank you. As always, Ian, thank you so much for your call. Let's go from Karolta Park to Marion. Hello, Jody.
Hi, hello, David. I've just come in at the end of this conversation, but I'm absolutely livid as a wheelchair user to keep hearing stories about this. But one of the things that really gets under my goat is using the excuse of an old or heritage building for not making adaptations for inclusion, including wheelchair access. You know, we've got old buildings around Adelaide, yet they're allowed to adapt the building to put in air conditioning and heating and big sound systems and all sorts of computer network stuff and electrical equipment so we can turn the lights on, but they're not allowed to adapt the building to put in a ramp or a lift or an extension to put those things in. It's just ridiculous.
Or maybe, Jody, you know, look, they're thinking this heritage building, if we haven't got the money or whatever to change it right now, in which case, wouldn't you just choose somewhere else to hold your inclusion and diversity and inclusion film festival? But there we are.
Exactly. At the end of the day, there are lots of other venues that can show films. You can have conference centres. You can have all sorts of other places. At the end of the day, have a hall with a blooming screen at the end and people can still enjoy a film.
I suppose it seemed like a good idea at the time. Jody, thank you for your call from Marion at almost 29 minutes past 9. Hello, Val.
Hi.
Hello, Val. What do you think?
I'm just speechless. I'm absolutely speechless. I have no personal experience of disability, but I was outraged for that guy. I really was. How anybody who is a mayor could consider that at all informed. I mean, it's like one of those gotcha moments. I couldn't believe anyone could say that. It's better than anything I've ever seen on a comedy show on the television.
Val, thank you for your call. Well, I think we need to give Claire Boan, Mayor of Port Adelaide Enfield Council, a right of reply. Claire Boan, a lot of people very upset with you.
Yeah, it does sound that way, which it completely amazes me, actually, that I'm receiving the flack for something that was a festival that we were promoting by sponsoring this event, which wasn't run by us. But I'm absolutely I'm disappointed that people could have this viewpoint and be so outraged without having all the information. There's a lot more information than what an advertiser story or a radio story provides, and I'd love to share that more with people.
Is there anything else you would like to say? If you think there's information missing, is there anything else you would like to say?
No, I'd prefer to do that if people would like to contact me in person rather than doing it over a radio interview. But I would like to say that
I don't want people listening to this to think,
event.
There's some secret information that Claire Boan's got that she thinks will balance this up.
Anyone who knows me well knows I don't have secrets.
Okay,
no.
well, if there's any information that you think people need to get a fuller picture, please tell us now.
There's a lot of untruths in that story that has been presented, and I think that it's really important to have whole truths before advertisers' stories print them. So.
Well, I'm sorry, I haven't even read the advertiser, so I didn't know it was in the advertiser. I've not read anything from the advertiser. Is there anything you would like that you think people need to know to balance this up? Because people are very upset at the way this was managed. Please, if they're missing something, tell them now.
I think it's really important for people to attend events and to be able to have the experiences for themselves before they make judgments on situations. And I think it was an absolutely fabulous opportunity for people with diverse abilities to be able to be part of this film festival. I'm really sorry that Shane's had this experience that he's had, but we also need to celebrate the amazing opportunities that it did provide for the community.
Okay. Last word to Shane Hryhorec, who raised this on his Facebook page. Shane?
Look, I just want to say, I've had a read of the Port Adelaide Enfield Inclusive Communities Plan, and it says here, we strive to provide equal chance for all people with disabilities to access programs, services and activities and facilities in the city of PAE to enable them to have the best lives possible. I just have to say, look, this event and sponsoring and supporting events that aren't inclusive is contrary to the inclusive plan. And look, all I'm asking for is that not just PAE, but any council out there or any organisation, if you're going to run an event, especially promoting inclusion, it's so important to make sure that the event is truly inclusive to everyone, not just some people, but everyone.
All right. Shane, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks a lot.